Hello again, Rink I am your fill-in host, Sean Fitzgerald. Welcome to the Rinkcast. This is Season 9, Episode 10, West Coast Woes. Growing pains still to go. I am joined again by the usual suspects. We've got Jimmy O'Malley and the Bard, Andrew Bard. How are we doing tonight, fellas?
What's up? What's up? Let's roll.
All right. So the Blackhawks are in the midst of a 6-game road trip. They've completed 3 games thus far. They've played the Edmonton Oilers, the Seattle Kraken, and the Winnipeg Jets. Not in that order. Guys, is it time to panic? They haven't won a game on this trip. Is it time to panic yet?
No, because what are you panicking about? I mean, are you panicking about the fact that they got off to a nice start and now your expectations were increased and they're going to be a playoff team? I don't think that was realistic. I mean, I think what you're seeing here is water finding its level. They're not going to have as much talent as other teams around the league. You know, they're playing hard and they're playing within a system, but they just don't have the the horses to compete with some of these big time teams, especially when you look at, a team like Winnipeg or Edmonton. So, they'll get there in time, but, this is a process and, you're still seeing them, be well coached. So they're playing hard, which I think I'll take that. And they're in these games. It's not like they're blowouts there for the most part. They're in these games. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of look. They may go 0-5-1 or 0-4-1 on this trip. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of being patient.
Patience and Bardo's preaching patience. Say that 3 times fast. Jimmy, are you panicking like Brendan is in the comments, or are you following Bardo's patience?
I mean, this is like a downturn in the economy. I just write it out, man. I don't panic sell. You look at the opponents too. It's always tough to be on a Western swing. Guy going out west has always been this team's kryptonite, even when they were really good. But I mean, you go up against Winnipeg at home. They're, in my opinion, they're the most complete team in the division. Makes sense. They still put up a decent fight. It was Spencer Knight's first bad game of the year, and he was due one after basically single-handedly carrying the team for the first 10. Then you get to Edmonton. And, I mean, you're facing the 2 best players in all the NHL, and you outplay them on 5-on-5. You just gave up 2 power play goals in an overtime. When Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have extra ice, they're going to use it. And then you get to Seattle. I hate playing Seattle. It's like playing the Kings. They just have a bunch of, identity lines and defensive pairings. Like, they run a neutral zone trap that just pisses you off. You can never get any offense going. But, I mean, they really did play well. Just the score sheet did not match it. I'm seeing effort. I'm seeing good play. It's not showing up in the win column, but it's good hockey by this team on a positive path on this rebuild. There is no panic at all.
Yeah, I agree with both your takes there. Both good takes. Especially Jimmy, they did outplay Edmonton 5-on-5. And I thought the same thing. Seattle basically parked the bus after they scored their 2 goals, and Joey Decord was really, really good. And the Hawks just finally got one by him late, but it just wasn't enough. So I'm like you guys, I'm not panicking. I'm kind of optimistic, and we'll get to that later about the rest of the trip. But I wanted to talk about something else that's been really big on this trip. Oliver Moore was recalled. And Jimmy, I know you saw a lot of him. He spent 9 games at Rockford. What do you think of the Oliver Moore being recalled?
I mean, he's got NHL level speed, and we saw it immediately on a line with McCabe and Donato. Although they didn't really convert much in the offensive zone, no one really did. You could tell they were just zooming around the ice. Oliver Moore always plays at 110 miles per hour, and it makes sense. Personally, I thought they were going to have a longer leash with him in Rockford. I thought they'd give him the 20-game sample size like they did with Nassar last year. But if you know what you got, you know what you got. He really played well in all 3 zones in the AHL, and he's showed the ability to do that already in 1 game in Seattle. I'd like to see him, honestly, I'd like to see if they want to get bold and play him in the top 6, maybe put him on Bedard's wing and see if that speed plays with that really good shot. someone that can play on the off wing of Bedard. A line of Moore, Bedard, Burakovsky honestly sounds super enticing to me. And I think that might be what they're planning. So, yeah, I like what Moore's done.
And Bardo, so I read an article earlier today, I think it was by Scott Powers, who said the recall of Oliver Moore is based on a meritocracy. The Hawks are trying to win games now. Is that your thought process behind Oliver Moore being recalled?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's earned it. I mean, for sure. I mean, he's played great, and I agree with what Jimmy said. I mean, if you know what you got, there's no reason to just overcook him down there. So just bring him up. And to me, he looked fantastic in his first game. I mean, even a lot better than the player he was last year. Obviously we know the speed. I saw a lot more skill with his hands. Some of the things that he was setting up and that shot that he sort of worked on over the summer that had really showed up. One play that really stood out that impressed me, and forgive me in terms of remembering names, but Moore was skating, and I think he went behind the net. He went to the right of Decord, and literally in one motion, he got to the boards and got the puck and just stopped on a dime and then just backhand passed it, centered it. I think it was for Donato, but that was a phenomenal play. I mean, it was a heads up play, but the skill there was unreal. So yeah, I mean, he's only going to get better, and he really looked the part. And like Jimmy said, I'd love to see him next to Bedard to see what he can do there. But yeah, I mean, he certainly looked the part and looks like he should be here for good.
I agree with I know I'm agreeing a lot, but I agree with both your takes. Oliver Moore did look great in his first game. He gave him speed. He attacked the net. That's what he did in Rockford. He had 9 goals in 9 games, or 9 points in 9 games in his AHL stint. And what Powers or Lazarus, I can't remember, it was on The Athletic today, I apologize, pointed out was the Hawks are trying to win games now. It's not, we're not going to bring up the Brett Seeneys of the world or the 26 guy who's a tweener 28-year-old. We're bringing up guys that are here to stay. Ryan Green was called up earlier, and he's been here to stay. Oliver Moore is probably going to be here to stay. Frank Nazar. So this is like the core of the team going forward. So
yeah, it's let them grow together. I mean, and with the way that they've played out of the gate so far, I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, I think the bar has been raised a little bit, to being, I guess, a competitive team, and maybe their ceiling is, competing for the playoffs or just missing it. Who knows? Maybe that's the ceiling, but I don't even know that's realistic or not. But I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's right now they're trying to win. They should. I mean, they're playing well. Bedard's has been the best he's been in his 3 years. So yeah.
Let's talk about Connor Bedard. Bardo, you said, we'll keep it right there with you. Bedard's been the best he has been in his last 3 years. What do you think is the big difference in Bedard this year to this point over years past?
I think there's a couple of things. Number one, I think it's the training that he did over the summer, in terms of working on his skating. I think it's a mindset for him, and I think a big part of that is coaching. So I think, you can see him being a lot more assertive and proactive, and much more confident in himself. So I think he's just relying on, I think he's doing less thinking and just doing more, just doing. And so, yeah, and I think it's translating on the ice. So to me, I think it's a coaching thing, and I think it's just a personal development piece.
Jimmy, what do you see from Bedard? Do you agree with Bardo?
I agree. And another thing I really like to see, he has a real just F you attitude. And I mean, it's not something you could find in analytics. You can't quantify it, but it's like, you see him just get into guys' face. I remember Josh Anderson.
He was gone last night.
Yeah. Colton Parayko of the Blues. He's standing up for himself. And I think that's something that a lot of people were concerned about when he first came in the league in his first 2 years. Like, man, this kid's small. This kid's, he's got to add a little, not just size. He's got to add a little feist into his game, and we're seeing that this year. I wonder if that has anything to do with Frank Nazar as well, because Frank Nazar also has some chomp to him. These kids are a couple bulldogs out there.
Yeah,
they really have an attitude of They have an attitude of like, I'm not here to just score. I'm here to win the game. I'm here to like make you remember I'm on this ice, not just because I filled your nets, because I got in your face, I annoyed you, I pestered you in front of the net, I gave a little shove after the whistle. That's vet stuff. And I think, what I remember most, Bardo, you mentioned the coach change. I remember I can't remember who said it, but one of the first things Blashill did after he was hired, he basically told Connor Bedard, watch the Florida Panthers this entire playoffs. Just watch what they do. And I want you to take that. And I think we're seeing that. We're seeing like, oh, this Florida team won back-to-back cups, not just on great skill, but great attitude. Just like, this is our ice. We own it. We're better than you. We're going to push you around. And I think Bedard wants to be that. And I think that's something that's added to his game. It's going to be really
and I think, especially on the Burakovsky goal against Seattle, like he won a board battle, took it out of the corner and fed that pass to Burakovsky. That's not something we've seen in years past. Like he is winning board battles and winning the puck with his stick a lot, not just skating away and doing a flyby. So I think that's something.
He ain't playing pond hockey out there,
No, he's not. As Biz said, he's not playing pond hockey out there. Another player that has kind of struck me on this trip, and I read about earlier today, and I want to get your thoughts on it, guys. Artem Levshunov has been sheltered in such a way that has made him very, very effective. I believe 73% of all his shifts have taken place when we've been in the offensive zone, as opposed to like my guy, Louis Crevier, who's only been at like 18%. Do you guys like what Blashill is doing with the defensive pairing, especially with the 11-7? Jimmy, what do you think?
I like what he's doing. I also like that in this last game, he gave Levshunov 19 minutes of ice time. He kind of took the gloves off against Seattle a little bit. I like it because it's just allowing Blashill to go, okay, like which pairings do I need for certain situations? Do I need a situation where I need both Crevier and a guy like Grzelcyk, or do I need Crevier and Vlasic? Just giving yourself that extra skater on the defensive end, especially when more than half the guys are under 25 years old. Giving yourself that ability to just play around with these young guys, it's very important because you have to just see what works and give them new opportunities with a little bit of a safety net behind them. And then to bring this back to Levshunov, yeah, I mean, you also just see, especially in last 3 games, he's really turned it up. Even in the limited time against Edmonton and the extended time against Seattle, he's really starting to figure it out. And I think the biggest thing for him, and Bardo kind of mentioned this with Bedard, is just you could see him stop mechanically thinking. Like you almost feel like Levshunov is trying to think 50,000 feet ahead when it's like, hey, you need to play the game. You need to play a little bit more instinctively. You got to go with the play. You can't telegraph everything. And when he gets out of his own head, he looks like a very natural player. And that's something I think Blashill is unlocking, whether it's sheltered like they did in Edmonton or giving him a little bit of a looser leash like they did in Seattle. He's picking and choosing his spots to like unlock Levshunov's potential.
The great Romeo from the movie Tin Cup told Tin Cup, your brain's getting in the way, stupid. Bardo, since we're seeing the ascent of Levshunov, have we seen kind of a downturn of Sam Rinzel?
Yeah, I think he's in a little bit of a slump, and it's interesting because I was going to say that I think Levshunov's been the best defenseman on this trip so far. He and I think to your point, Jimmy, I think it's just one of those things where it's like the game is slowing down for him, and when you're not thinking as much, that kind of happens. Especially when you are the one that's just instinctively taking over. But I think for Rinzel, yeah, I mean, I think he's struggling a little bit. I think it's in a couple of ways. I think physically he's getting a little bit beaten up. I've noticed that because look, he's like 6'4", 6'5", and he's like a twig. So he looks like he's 120 pounds soaking wet. I know I'm exaggerating, but I think it's physically he's getting a little bit beaten up, and it's sort of kind of impacting him maybe a little bit mentally. So do I think he's going to get a game off? Maybe. I doubt it. Okay. But I wouldn't put that past Blashill to do that and just say, hey, you know what? You could use a little bit of a mental break.
Why not? Would that be considered a hot take? Well, I'm going to say it is. And just in case you missed it, post a hot take here for the rink, and you could earn the opportunity to win a t-shirt from 500level.com. You could also use the code TheRink26 for 30% off of any purchase. Now back to what Bardo was saying. I agree with you. I think Rinzel's kind of struggled. And I think it's just growing pains. Like Rinzel
it's
blew
nothing
us
more than
away
that.
with 9 games last year, and now we've played more than that. It's a long grind. He's finding his feet. As Ray Napientek would always say, they got a book on him now.
Mhm.
So I think Rinzel's got to adjust. Just like Levshunov had that adjustment period last year into this year, I think Rinzel's got to adjust a little bit.
Well, and remember, they were also, winning and doing well for a while. He was playing well, and sometimes losing can expose your flaws. So I think you're seeing that. So, and that's okay. I mean, it's part of the development. He's still a kid. The book is not written on him completely. It's certainly there is a book out there, and any player, any sport, they got to adjust because everybody else is doing that. So that's just the way it is.
One other guy. Go ahead, Jimmy. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think also with Rinzel, I think he got off to such a hot start that people went, "Oh, this is a first pairing defenseman," and he's been given first pairing. Yeah, he's been given first pairing defensive minutes basically this entire year. I think that's wearing on him. Getting first, when you're on the first pairing, you're getting the best matchups. I think he's also up there just to shelter Levshunov, which is why Levshunov is not taken over quite yet. But realistically, I don't think those expectations are warranted. I think he's more of a second pairing guy. And over time, I think he is going to eventually just be usurped by Levshunov, and then he's going to fall back into a more natural second pairing position where you're going to see him a little bit less ice time, maybe 2 to 3 minutes less per night. He's going to have more energy. He's going to have more favorable matchups to his skill set, and it'll figure itself out. I just think when people saw him last year and again this year, they went, "Oh, man, this guy's a first pairing guy. Like, he's really blown the doors off of everyone." But after the last couple games, it's like, oh, maybe those are a little ambitious. Maybe he's more second pairing guy. Maybe he just needs better matchups, and that's what he'll get in the second pair.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, one other guy I want to talk about. I think the perhaps the hidden gem or the player we need to continue to heap apologies upon is Wyatt Kaiser. And what do you guys think Wyatt Kaiser's been doing to make him stand out in such a way that we're heaping apologies on him? Bardo. Or Jimmy, go ahead. Bardo first.
Okay. No, I think when I watch him and when I see him, I think he's just breaking up. He's consistent. I mean, and it's, you're not seeing him get destroyed by others a lot. I just see a guy who's very, very consistent and breaking up plays and just making smart plays. It's hard to complain about the guy because he's just been making plays. Nothing is flashy. He can skate really well. That's his biggest strength for sure. But I think defensively, he just always seems to be in the right position for the most part, from what I can see. Yeah, sure, he makes mistakes. All these guys do. So, but I just see it just a more consistent player than I did last year.
Jimmy, are you catching that pass?
I'm catching that pass too, and I think the biggest thing as well for me when I see Wyatt Kaiser, he just seems to have chemistry with every other defenseman on the roster. Like every other right-handed defenseman, he seems to know how to get the best out of him. Whether it's Levshunov, who he's been tied to the hip, and honestly, I'm going to say the biggest apology when I saw them in Rockford together. I thought it was a awful pairing. I thought it was going to be a really bad idea to keep Kaiser and Levshunov together, but I'm being proven wrong. But even when he's not with Levshunov, when he gets his occasional minutes with guys like Crevier and Rinzel and Murphy, he seems to just elevate his defensive partner's game. He knows how to make sure that they're not on an island, that they're not forced to do something that is outside their skill set. And that's super valuable for a guy like Kaiser, who's 24 years old, playing with the mentality and the veteran ability of a 34-year-old. It's really important to have at a very young defensive core is a guy that can look at his partner, no matter who it is, and be like, I know exactly what I need to do to make your game better and make this work. And I think he's the best defenseman in that, that specific skill set.
You heard it here first, folks. The rink is on the Wyatt Kaiser train.
Yeah, we're on the apology tour.
Relative to defensemen, Ben Pope just posted something about an hour ago.
Okay.
A story. What's that?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, he just posted something about Connor Murphy's ice time yesterday.
Ooh, okay.
It was about 8.5 minutes. I mean, it's literally fallen off a cliff as he tweeted out, and saying how the longest tenured player is in a tenuous spot. But yeah, I mean, it's. I'm wondering, are they phasing him out? Is it just trying to preserve him? What's the deal there? I mean, that's.
Could be both. Did I see, Bardo, that he's played 1,000 games in a Blackhawks uniform?
500.
500 games?
500, yeah.
That blows my mind. He's the longest tenured Hawk.
Yeah, he is. He's the longest tenured.
What is he, third? I thought I read he was third in hits in team history.
Yeah.
Like, that blows my mind that he's been around that long.
Yeah. I mean, look, his body has taken a pounding between all the hits that he's dished out, taken, and the block shots. I mean, eventually it just wears on you. I mean, look at Jarmelson and how long he lasted, and eventually he just fell off a cliff because it's just, the father time's undefeated
game, and if you play that style, you're going to wear down.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it's phasing him out, and maybe this is like, okay, let's play him less minutes, and maybe it's, eventually going to lead to either Nolan Allen or Ethan Del Mastro taking over or something like that. I don't know. So just throwing that out there because I thought it was interesting when it was tweeted out.
Yeah.
I get a sneaky suspicion he's on the top of the trade bait list in the Chicago Blackhawks roster. I don't see him finishing the year of Chicago.
I don't either.
What do you think his asking price is, though? Like, what are the Hawks going to get for Connor Murphy?
Anywhere from if I'm being realistic, 6th round pick. If I'm being generous, 5th. Maybe just
at what point do the Hawks need to stop acquiring picks? Like, we just got a 4th round pick for Reichel. Now we're getting a 6th round pick for Connor Murphy. Like, at what
are you going to get realistically for him? I mean, you're not going to get
I guess maybe a change of scenery guy or.
Yeah, but I mean,
I guess pick you don't want to take away ice time from the
say,
kid.
like, hey, give us a 2027 5th round pick, and then 2 years from now, when we're looking to make those kind of ads, we can flip that pick again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look, I've never asked war chest. I mean, you got what you got out of him for several years. Thank you for your service. Don't let the door hit you on the tuchus on the way out. And that's really
he would be one of the last players acquired by Stan Bowman for the Hawks. I think he's the last guy on the roster that was acquired. Obviously, like, guys, Soderblom was signed, but like Connor Murphy was like was the big acquisition in the Nicholas Hjalmarsson trade, and then he also flipped Panarin for Brandon Saad. So
you want a hot take?
Sure.
Blackhawks won the Nick Hjalmarsson Connor Murphy flip. I think they won it.
Ooh.
I mean, if you look at Hjalmarsson when he joined the Arizona Coyotes, he
was garbage.
Fell off a cliff.
That 20
barely healthy enough
playoff run killed him.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what those guys. Brent Seabrook, Nicholas Hjalmarsson, Michael Roosevelt, Johnny Oduya, that whole Duncan Keith, that whole run like ended their careers. It shortened them
too.
Significantly.
Well, because they all played the equivalent of probably like 2 extra seasons because of all the playoff games that they played.
Yeah.
I mean, they went to like 5 of 7 conference finals. I mean, think about that. I mean, it just and they did, over years, it just takes its toll.
The Blackhawks sacrificed basically everything for 2015. Like, that third cup was like, that was really it. I don't think people really realized it. Yeah.
Andy Campbell, who's under the weather, decided to chime in a bucket of pucks and stick bag for Connor Murphy.
Andy was sick, but he was like heard in the ether, like Connor Murphy trade.
Yeah, he heard the ether Connor Murphy. So before we get to the upcoming games on the rest of the West Coast trip, I've got a trivia question for you, gentlemen. As many of you rink rats know, or some of you know, I turned the great age of 42 yesterday. So, with that being said, I'm going to ask for the last 3 Blackhawks to wear the number 42. There has been 15 in the team's history. Bard, if you do not get one of these, I think you need to turn in a certain club's card.
Is one of them Joakim Nordstrom?
That is correct. Joakim Nordstrom, ward from 2014 to 2015.
I knew he was
Jeremy
one.
Morin.
Jeremy Morin did not wear number 42. He did play with the Blackhawks 42 times. I'm just kidding.
Oh, Nolan Allen.
Nolan Allen is correct. He
Oh,
wore it in 2025, and we've got one more well-discussed defenseman on this pod. Well known for developing elsewhere.
Alec Regula?
No, not Alec Regula. Andy's guy. Andy is correct. Andy got it right in the comments.
Oh, Gustav Forsling.
Gustav Forsling. That's correct. Number 42. So those also Sean Ladone, Jordan Henry.
Jordan Henry wore 42? I was going to say Jordan Henry. So
he wore it in 2008. Yep.
I thought he wore 6, but then
he did, I think, after that season. Yeah.
Got it.
Jordan Henry. Yep. So number 42. And then one because of the Hawks playing Seattle, I got one more for you. Who was the Seattle Kraken's expansion draft pick from the Blackhawks?
John Quenneville.
That is correct. John Quenneville.
Yeah.
They basically passed on taking one off the NHL roster for the Hawks.
I remember the big thing going into that was like, ooh, are they going to take like Calvin DeHaan or Oli Mata?
Yep.
And they took John Quenneville of all people.
42, by the way, was Joseph Marha 42?
Joseph Marhoff. He was not. It was Warren Reichel,
yeah.
Jeff Jackson, Rick Lance, Ryan McGill, Steve Bancroft, Steve Dubinsky.
I remember them.
Steve, I'm going to butcher the last. Poapst.
Steve Popst.
John Clem, and Mikhail Barinka. Before Jordan Henry, Sean Ladone, Joakim Nordstrom, Gustav Forsling, and Nolan Allen.
Boy, that's like bad luck city. I mean, that's just
curse, the kiss of death. Wearing the number 42. Wearing the number 42, and of course, famous 42, not in hockey, but Jackie Robinson. If anybody has to dispute that, well, I don't know what to tell you. All right, fellas, on to the rest of the West Coast trip. We have Vancouver, Calgary, and Detroit. What are your predictions for the rest of the trip? I know, Bardo, you said maybe 5-1 for the total trip. What do you think?
I said
last 3.
No, what I said was it wouldn't surprise me. But obviously, here's the thing. Here's what I'll say. If they maintain a strong level of consistent play, I'll be happy with that. That said, I'm going to say 1-1-1.
Okay. Jimmy, what do you think?
I was leaning 1-1-1, but I know Vancouver just came off a good win. But they haven't impressed me in Calgary.
They have Lucas Reichel, so
0 points. Lucas Reichel. I'm going 2-0-1. I think they're going to take out Vancouver. I think they can beat up on Calgary. Detroit's really good, but they've had some trouble in 5-on-5, and I think the Blackhawks can keep pace. But then Detroit has some really good talent in the overtime and the shootout that I don't think the Blackhawks could overcome. So 2-0-1. I think they finish this road trip on a bit of a high note.
I'm going to agree with you, Jimmy. I'm going to go 2-0-1, the optimistic pick here.
And I hate games in the Saddle Dome with that stupid flame that when they score a goal, when the Calgary scores, right on top of the opposing goalie, they have like that light. Oh, yeah. That's so annoying.
Well, hopefully the Hawks put a bunch of goals on Dustin Wolf, and then he could call out his forwards again. I think that would be hysterical. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, didn't Joey Decord get asked a question like that similarly before the Hawks played him? What do you think about the offense not scoring? And he deflected it better than Dustin Wolf did. I believe he said, well, that's not my job to score goals. My job is only to defend goals. So just a little aside there. one other thing I wanted to talk about here. Jimmy, your guy, or our guy, Nick Lardis, won Rookie of the Month in the AHL. What have you seen covering the Rockford Ice Hogs from Nick Lardis?
Everyone wants to talk about his shot, and my God, can this kid just like pick his spot and shoot? I think the big thing that everyone, including us here at the rink, were really worried about when it came to his 70-goal performance last year was like, okay, well, like, is he just scoring a lot because he's playing against mediocre talent and he could just do what he wants, or is he like actually picking really good spots? But in Rockford, he's picking really good spots. He had a power play goal Saturday against Grand Rapids at home. Grand Rapids, by the way, 9-0 to start the season. They're actually on a tear. But in their home game Saturday, Nick Lardis was setting up behind the right dot on a power play. Gets a one-time pass, perfect shot, hits off the post, goes back to a defenseman. He just lines back up. Defenseman puts it back on a stick. Same shot, same spot, just a little lower, goal. And it was the most absurd thing I've ever seen because you hear the crowd just like go like, oh, he didn't score. And then like 2 seconds later, while they're like groaning about missing the shot, he immediately goes back. I think the big thing with him is kind of what I've seen with Oliver Moore as well. It's just the rest of his game is rounding out super well. He doesn't look lost out there when he doesn't have the puck on his stick. He knows where to fill in on the rush. He knows where to back check when he's facing the rush. He's not a complete negative in the defensive zone, and that's something that they really focused on with Oliver Moore when he was in Rockford, and that's something they're really focusing on with Nick Lardis. And it's leading to him being a really good scorer in transition as well. I think Nick Lardis, I said this before, I'm all in on the hype train. I think this kid, like, he really has it. I think this kid is very comfortably a middle six scoring winger. And if he can continue to develop that defensive game, I mean, this guy can play in all three zones. I'm super impressed with him. I was, like many of us here, was a little bit on edge when it came to, like, he was a little older guy and, like, in his junior league. He's playing against 16-year-olds. He wins Rookie of the Month, his first professional month in the AHL, the second best professional league in all of hockey. And it's not just because he's putting up a lot of points. He's actually a really good player in all facets of the game. So he's someone I think all Blackhawk fans need to pay attention to.
Are you on the hype train, Bardo?
Yeah, I am. I said earlier in the season I wanted to see how he would perform here in the AHL, given the quality of the league, and he's been really good. I mean, he's been great. So, hopefully he just continues this and and eventually gets the call up. But I think if he does, it's just a matter of time.
Steve Ellis, I believe, of Daily Faceoff said in a tweet, if you give Lardis space, that's a mistake because he makes the most of the space that's available. So Lardis making the most of his time down there. And if or when Lardis is recalled to the big club, the Hawks are going to have a kind of a conundrum because they just sent down Landon Slaggert for Oliver Moore. Yep. If they recall Lardis, who goes down or where does he play? Jimmy?
I think that's putting the cart before the horse here. Even with his strong start, I think Lardis has a lot more to work on than Nazar and Moore did. Like he is, because think about it, Nazar and Moore both had time in the NHL in the back half of the first year of the ELC. And like they really shined and they went down with very specific things to work on. And they did, and then they were brought up. I think Nick Lardis, it's definitely more of a general, you need to get better in all areas. So we're going to take our time with you. So I'm not overly concerned with the idea of like, who do we have to send down to like send him up? Because I don't think Chicago's in that situation where they want to pull the trigger on him the same way they were with Nazar and Moore. I think he's more of a post-trade deadline move, maybe that 9-game cup of coffee at the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, and by that time, maybe guys like Dickinson or Lafferty are moved so that a roster spot does open up naturally without having to move anyone up and down in the same way with Slaggert and Moore. So I'm not thinking about that because I just don't see – I don't see that being how Chicago is going to manage Nick Largus. I think they really want to give him as much time as he needs in Rockford to develop all aspects of his game. And he's off to a great start. But as we all know, being a professional is not just being good for a couple of weeks. It's being good for like 9 months of a year.
Yep.
It's a grind. He's learning it. So let him learn it in the AHL. Let's not try to like.
Let's not pull a Stan Bowman and elevate him too fast. I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
I don't think he's the more Nazar level. Like, wow, he's really ready. I just think he's more like, hey, this is a guy that just needs more professional time because he doesn't have the same professional time that Nazar and Moore did comparatively.
And Bardo, Jimmy brought up Jason Dickinson, who re-injured his shoulder and now is on IR. And Jeff Blashill said, I believe, he's week to week. Are we going to see much more of Jason Dickinson once he comes back from his injury?
Wait, did you say Dickinson's hurt?
Yeah, the water is wet.
Shocked. Took you a while to get that one.
I did, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about artists fighting children in the AHL.
Yeah, I mean, does he go on waivers soon? That's possible. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much longer they can take with him because he's just, an anchor right now. He's just, dead weight because he can't even stay in the lineup. He's always hurt. Comes back for a game, gets out for the next 5 games. So I don't know what they can do roster wise. Maybe you put him on waivers and send him down so you vary his salary. But I know cap space is not an issue for them. So it might just be ride it out and just
let him walk.
The best. Yeah, that's really it because he's got no value right now in the trade market
because he's the best face-off guy in the dot that he provides some value.
Well, what's the difference when you're never healthy?
That's true.
So,
you remember the Kyle Okposo trade when he got traded to the Florida Panthers? It was like a conditional 7th that became a 5th because they won the Stanley Cup. That's the kind of value we're thinking Dickinson. It's, hey, here's a conditional 7th. Here's a guy that could be your 5th center that you scratch every night that can come in if guys get injured in the playoffs and win you face-offs on the 4th line.
Okay.
That's about it. Listen, I like Dickinson. It's very clear the room really likes him. I don't think there's any question about his, loyalty to the team and effort. It's just injuries happen. Injuries are like an avalanche. Once you get one, they pile on, especially in this sport. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing the team can do. But 1 year left on the contract. Worst thing that's going to happen is, hey,
he walks away.
We're going to write it out. We're going to let your contract go. Good luck after this. There's nothing really anyone can do about it.
All right. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, gentlemen? I know the Hawks don't play till tomorrow night. So we got some time to ruminate on some other Blackhawks things. Any final thoughts before we declare victory?
Shout out to my daughter Sabrina, 96 on her global test. So
great job, Sabrina.
Well done. Dylan's got 4 tests this week. Well, actually, he's got 3 left now. So he took 1 on Monday. So I'm sure he's going to crush it. So good luck, dude. Jimmy?
We kind of mentioned it quietly earlier, but recently Landon Slaggert was sent down to the Rockford Ice Hogs. I think Ben Pope kind of came out with an article either right before or basically the same day of his demotion. He talked about how I think he was interviewing Blashill, I want to say. And let me see if I can.
Yeah, he basically said that he's got to practice harder, I thought. He's got to make himself more valuable to be valuable on the PK. And I think somebody had tweeted out that once Oliver Moore was recalled to the big club, that Landon Slaggert kind of became expendable. Redundant, I believe.
Here's the quote from Blashill. This is quote out from Ben Pope on October 31st. He said, he's in the conversation of, if we're going to put a guy in, who are we taking out? Ultimately, what you have to do as a young player is get yourself out of that conversation. So I think it kind of became clear this season that he really just became a filler guy. He never had anything in this game that really put him over in terms of just value. And I don't want to sit here and crap on a Notre Dame guy. I know how much you love Notre Dame, Sean, and
No, that's
especially on your
correct. That's
birthday. That's
correct.
just mean. But like, I think this is something we talked about when he was signed to his 2-year ELC. We all said this guy's a fourth liner. He's more of a physical guy. He's kind of more of a leader. But if you expect anything more from that, you're probably going to be mistaken. Plus, he was a little more on the older side when he was brought in. Was he 22 when he signed to these ELC?
Yeah,
so
he played all 4 years at Notre Dame. Yep.
He's kind of a fringe guy. I mean, he's a 4A guy. Kind of.
4A guy, Bardo.
I've
Yeah,
heard
you're right.
rumors that Edmonton may be interested in him. I don't know why. Maybe it's just
Stan Bowman did draft Landon Slaggert in the 3rd round when he was the general manager.
Well, yeah. Well, now it's like, didn't his father just take a job?
Yeah, his father is like director of personnel development with Edmonton after being a coach at Notre Dame for like 30 years.
Yeah,
so.
That was just announced like right around the time when the Hawks just played Edmonton earlier in the week. So, yeah. And Andy Slaggert was at Notre Dame. He was an assistant coach or whatever he was. And then he just got this opportunity that he took with Edmonton. So that could be the connection that people are making. So to be closer to family.
Closer to family. Stan Bowman drafted him. We all know how Stan loves bringing guys that have some tie to him any way, shape, or form. So
I'm surprised he didn't trade a 3rd for Lucas Reichel.
Yeah.
Well, he'll trade a 1st for Slaggert. So might as well make that call now.
Yeah. Maybe he'll try to lure Jeremy Morin out of retirement. Or Andrew Ladd, Christopher Stieg. The list goes on.
Marco Dano.
Marco
Dano. Come on, O'Doy. You got a little.
You don't know yet, you know?
Kruger, I hear you're playing in the SHL. Come on.
Yeah. So I've got a shout out to Adam Guyan, who has 8 wins in 2 losses with a .917 or .917 save percentage and a 185 goals against average. And UMD Duluth is now 7th in the latest poll. So I know some people, Steve Ellis, I think, was tweeting out that maybe they've played a little inferior competition, but still putting up numbers there. And I wanted to give another shout out to Saturday Night Live, the NHL sketch with the Predators in the community. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Miles Teller delivers it. It makes fun of the Predators, who actually their slogan at one point was Preds in the community. So check that out. And then anyone looking for a good college hockey matchup, I believe this weekend, the number 1 ranked Michigan State is playing number 2 Penn State. So you'll see guys like Porter Martone, Caden Lindstrom, Gavin McKenna at Penn State, and the future home of our quarterback friend Mason West, Michigan State. So, any other final thoughts, fellows, before we get out of here?
Go Hawks.
Hawks.
All righty. Well, that's been it for the Chicago Rinkcast. You can check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. For Sean, Jimmy, and Bard, sayonara.